Chagall used it, Matisse loved it, gouache has a serious history, and you're about to make it seriously fun. These 8 gouache techniques can achieve a lot of different effects and will help you get better at gouache painting. Hello, I'm Cecile, a sketchbook artist, and I love gouache. This is maybe my favorite medium, and I want to show you today how to use these techniques while painting this portrait. Tip number 1, wet your page first. To apply the first layer, I like to spritz my paper with tap water and immediately apply a layer of gouache in very diluted gouache and let the color bleed into each other. This is kind of a watercolor technique that we are using with gouache. Tip number 2, build up layers. If your first layer is transparent as watercolor, your second layer should be a bit more thick, and the third layer even thicker. And the last one, if you go to 4 layers, sometimes I stop at 3, will be the paint fresh from the tube with just a damp brush, so you can move the paint on the paper. And having thick consistency allows you to blend things easily. Tip number 3, you can lift your colors. This is another technique from watercolor world. You just get a damp, clean brush with clean water. And this is the beginning of your painting, so your water should still be clean. And you want to apply a quite hard rub onto the paper to lift up the pigment. This will be covered later, but it helps me gauge where are my light colors, where are my lightest values in the portrait. Tip number 4, you can change your mind with gouache. You can cover up a layer of a color you don't like. For example, this shadow that was kind of brownish and that I wanted to be lavender after that. If your first layer is dry enough and your second layer is opaque enough, it will go like a breeze. And if you want to know more about layering, I have a video that I link in the button up here, especially about gouache layering. Tip number 5, you can use a dry brush. That means that your brush is slightly damp, not wet at all. You dip it into the fresh paint, creamy consistency, fresh from the tube, and you just tap the tip of the brush. I like to use that with a flat brush. I think it gives more interesting results, but of course you can do that with a round brush as well. And then you can rub your brush onto the paper, but this time very gently, don't press, so you are barely touching the paper and applying a tiny amount of paint. And it's not an opaque, a solid color, it's just some bits of paint that apply texture to your painting. If you like those tips, you can get my free 60 gouache tips PDF. You have the link under the video to download it. Tip number, I don't know, you can splatter for texture, and you can either splatter onto a wet surface or onto a dry surface, and you won't get the same results. If it's onto a wet surface, the color will bleed into the wet paper, and if it's on a dry surface, you will get individual visible droplets. It really depends on the effect you want to achieve. Tip number 7, you can blur your shape into the background with your wet finger. Make sure your finger is clean, which is not always the case when I'm painting. Dip it in clear water and rub it gently where the two colors meet. So in my case here, it's blurring the back of the hair into the background. I think it gives a soft transition, and it's kind of, the shape is emerging from the background. I love that effect, but for that you need to have enough paint. I mean, if you do that on the first layer, it won't work because you don't have enough pigment, and especially you don't have enough of the binder that is inside the gouache. What you're doing with your wet finger is reactivating the paint, and as you rub gently, you are merging the two colors. But for that, you need to have a creamy consistency under. And tip number 8, you can enhance your gouache with added mediums. I like to add colored pencils. I think this is the one that is working the best onto gouache. And I also made a video about the best medium to use on top of gouache that I link here. And in this case, I also use acrylic markers. You don't want to make a large surface with acrylic marker because you will reactivate the paint under, but if it's just writing or drawing some stuff on top of your gouache, you should be fine. Here is the final painting. I've added a lot of colors to the skin because this is what I like, but you can go with something a bit more realistic if you prefer. And I think my purple highlights are really doing a lot. I have a tiny bit one here, the one on the shadow on the face, here in the eye, and the purple stars. Yeah, I say yes. Let me know in comments, what do you think of this portrait? And there it is, 8 techniques that you can apply to any gouache painting. But if you're keen to go further in gouache portraits, I have a masterclass that will teach you everything you need to know from drawing to painting, and you have the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you soon.